This video is for documentary and educational purposes only. Do not attempt any of the actions described in this video. Thank you. I am an interdimensional traveler. Yes, I was born on Earth, but I became an interdimensional traveler, and I would just like to tell you the story of how that happened. So stay tuned until the end of the video if you would like to find out. Now, could be a bit of a long story, so grab a cup of tea, grab a beer, or whatever your drink of choice is, your snack of choice, a bag of chips or whatever, because I have to go back in time, you know. Now, this event that caused me to become an interdimensional traveler happened about many years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago this happened. And it really started me on my spiritual journey, and I would say I've never been the same person since, due to the things that I saw. Now, what you'll have to understand is that in the course of this video, I may use some strange language, and that is because YouTube is very strict with the videos that they allow, more and more, and it's not even humans that are doing it, it's the AI, because the AI reviews the videos and that are being published. So in order to keep everything good with YouTube, I may use some strange language, so you have to read between the lines. So essentially, at this time in my life, I was basically researching all sorts of spiritual and esoteric subjects, and I was very heavily researching entheogens, which are certain plant medicines that can be used traditionally, shamanically, to access different dimensions. And so I was researching, and it was so fascinating because it's like, wow, how can these people have these like wild experiences and access these different dimensions like in this manner, you know, just by taking these entheogens, these plant medicines. So I kept researching, and I discovered one particular one that was easy to acquire, and also it's kind of in a legal gray area, because basically if you process it and extract it into its purest form, it's not legal. However, if you just kind of leave it in its natural form, it's completely legal. And and what it is it's a certain species of cactus that comes from the Andes Mountains, and around that region of the world, from around Peru and Bolivia and so on. So yeah, I found out where to get this from an unknown source, you know, and I got some, and I prepared it, you know. I waited, like, until the exact correct moment, until I felt like it was the right moment. And then I prepared it, and I made like a shamanic altar for the ceremony, because I was looking at it from like a shamanic perspective, right? So I had like an eagle feather and like a crystal and a bunch of kind of items that were sacred to me, like a plant, and I had this plant medicine there too, you know, for the experience. And then so then I took the plant medicine, and I felt like I was getting kind of nauseous. I felt like I was getting a bit sick. So I think I drank some ginger tea, and I also smoked some herb. I don't rarely smoke herb anymore, because it's like, rarely smoke those cigarettes anymore, because they're just like, dulls my mind, you know? But at this time I was pretty heavily into smoking cigarettes, so I smoked some of this stuff to calm down my stomach, which it does work well for that. It's a good as a medicine, you know, if you really need it. But anyway, so I just lied down for a while, and then I wasn't feeling much of an effect for a long time. So then I went to the went outside to look like outside in nature, and I started to feel like this kind of uplifting kind of started feeling really weird, you know. I started feeling like something changing in my consciousness, but it wasn't like so intense, you know. With funny fungi, it's like it can be like very intense, like when you're, you know, when the medicine is taking effect. But with this cactus, it is not so intense. So it was kind of like a gentle feeling, and I started feeling like more like my consciousness vibrating. And then what happened is I started to see everything like breathing and flowing and so on, like the forest floor, like similar to the forest floor here with this moss here. The forest floor was like breathing and waving and moving, and just kind of slowly building up. And then something amazing happened, which is all over the ground, all over the forest floor, I saw like it would be like this moss here or whatever, but all over the forest floor, I saw like Mayan or Aztec hieroglyphics and stuff like that, like these kind of strange faces and creatures and stuff like that, but it was very much like the Mayan kind of hieroglyphics, you know. And I had seen those before. I had actually been to Mexico before as a child, and also I have seen like Mayan and Aztec hieroglyphics in books and stuff like that, but and in my research online, but I never really looked at them so close. Like, I never really looked at them, you know, in such detail. Like, I never studied them so, you know, so profoundly, but there they were in like perfect detail, you know, all over, like everything, and it was like an overlay on this reality was these Aztec and Mayan hieroglyphics, and it's like my mind was blown, literally, because I just realized that I was tapping into a different dimension, and I was just looking at these Mayan and Aztec hieroglyphics, and in such amazement and fascination, and I felt that I was tapping into an ancient realm, you know, like I was tapping into the same thing that what the Aztecs and Mayans tapped into, which caused them to worship all these different gods and stuff like that, you know? And that was like so amazing, and I knew that I was tapping into a different dimension. And that's the moment of my life when I realized that that so many like different dimensions exist. And I have, of course, read about different dimensions online and stuff like that, but until you experience it, you don't really know what it is, you know? You have to experience different dimensions to know. Like, you can read like books about, like, you can read like 20 books about like this stuff, but if you don't experience it for yourself, then you will only have a limited understanding of it. So that was so amazing, and it just made me start thinking about like different dimensions, like how many different dimensions is there, like, you know, the ancient civilizations and all that stuff. I've always been super fascinated with ancient civilizations, the ancient Aztecs, Mayans, Peru, Machu Picchu, and so on, the ancient Egyptians, ancient Sumerians, and all these different civilizations. And there's actually some evidence of them, if you look at of them taking certain things. The ancient Aztecs took a sacred plant medicine called Egyptian blue lotus, which I have taken before. And, it's like when I took the blue lotus, which you make just into like a tea or whatever, for me it gave me like a sense of like my third eye opening. Like it just a slight like subtle like expanded awareness. But then also with that combined with other plant medicines, who knows? They were probably traveling to different dimensions and stuff like that, I think. So, so I, after seeing this amazing stuff, I went into the house, like after it started dying down a little bit, or I thought it was dying down a little bit, but it's an extremely long-lasting experience, So, I went back into the house, and I played the drums, I don't even play the drums, I actually play the acoustic guitar a little bit. I'm not very good. But I don't even play the drums at all. But there was a drum set in the house at the time. So I just played the drums, and it was like fun, just, I felt like a child, And, I felt like I was just free to do anything, to express myself, and so on. So, yeah, I played the drums a bit. Then after, I think I took like a hot bath just to relax and so on. And then I went over to somebody's house. But at the time I was living on a small island. So I traveled, with some of my family members from the one island to the other island on this boat, and it looked like Lord of the Rings. Like, everything looked like very animated, And it was like very much like Lord of the Rings or like Harry Potter or something, because we were just going across like on the boat, like, and it was like a scene from some movie or something. And yeah, that I didn't realize at the time, but it's like that I feel like is one experience that verifies my idea that life is a movie. Because that's my own personal philosophy, that life is a movie. And so, anyway, so, but so that, and since then I realized that you could actually have these experiences without taking anything, just with meditation, because if you meditate for a long time in a deep meditation in nature, then everything looks like more animated, For me, anyways. Like, everything looks more animated, like, everything looks more like a movie, But I feel like that's because you are in a higher state of vibration. But if you are, like, down and depressed and stuff like that, everything looks dull, and everything looks, like, dark, So everything in life depends on your state of mind. So that's why having a positive mental state, positive mental attitude is so important, because you are projecting everything you see, you are projecting onto your reality, and if you look at things in a negative way, you are projecting negativity onto your reality. So yeah, went over to one of my family members' homes, and there was a bunch of like beautiful trees there, because they have like a bunch of species of trees there, like a willow tree and some apple trees and stuff like that. And I was like just looking at those, and I thought, wow, they're like so beautiful and stuff like that. I felt like very connected with nature. And but the strongest effects had worn off, but the after effects were still going strong, like still felt like very kind of weird, very like energized and so on. Then yeah, and then I just had like an amazing time with my family, and it was like at that point I felt like I understood life, But it turns out that I actually had a lot more to learn after that. But, yeah, it turns out I actually had a lot more to learn after that, but I didn't really realize it. But, I feel like that experience made me understand life better, and after that, after the experience, like several days after, at that point I didn't really know what like I was doing with my life, you know. I just got basically fired from this job. I was working on this construction crew with these roofers over the summer, but they basically fired me because they just, you know, because they wanted somebody who was more like skilled. But I told them I was like a beginner or whatever, but I guess they didn't really understand that from the beginning. So yeah, so basically got fired from that job, and I didn't really know what I was doing with my life at that time. So then all of a sudden one day my brother calls me up and he's like, "Hey bro, you want to come down to where I'm living and like you can have a job at this place where I'm working?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool, sounds good." Like, and I just literally grabbed a backpack and I just went there. And before my transformative experience, I wouldn't have probably had the confidence to do that. But then after that experience, life just flowed more smoothly. And I was like, screw it, you know, I'm not doing anything here anyways, like, let's go do something different, you know, experience something different. And so it was like, it really improved my life, you know, it put me on some kind of path at least, like where if I was just like lazing around all day, you know, that wouldn't have happened. So, yeah, I feel like it had a really positive effect on my life. Very grateful, but also at the same time I had a lot more to learn, and eventually I did learn more lessons, specifically on my future travels with funny fungi. I will make another video about my most powerful experience with funny fungi, and in my most powerful experience with funny fungi, I actually God told me the secrets of the universe, and I made peace with God, and or with my higher power, and but I want to tell that in a different video, as a different chronicle, you know, a different chapter in my book, a different episode of my TV show, if you will, you know, because, yeah. So, if you've made it this far in the video, I have to assume that you are a big fan of mine, because according to the analytics, most people don't watch very long. I guess just because people have really short attention spans these days. But if you're like new here, then please like and subscribe for and I'll be coming out with more videos soon. And yeah, but if you are one of my more dedicated fans, one of my biggest fans, then I would like to say thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and you know, reach out and communicate with me in the comments. If you have anything to say, if you want to share your experience or anything like that, I would love to hear about that. And yeah, I will just leave you with a view of the forest where I am. Beautiful forest. And I'm just out here having a nice little meditation out in the forest with the plants and the trees and the birds, because meditating like this is like therapy for me. you know, like being in nature like this, like it has such a positive effect on my life being in nature, because I go out in nature and it like clears my mind. It's literally the best therapy ever for me. I don't need to like talk with some shrink or whatever, I just need to be with my trees, you know? But I won't let the video drag on too long. So, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe. And until next time, cheers.